Whoa. We're close. Hello. Hey guys, it's Dani. Welcome to 2020 Decks. We're here. It's December. We made it. So close, you guys. So close. I mean, who's to say 2021 is going to be any different, but we can hope, right? We can hope. So today we are going to do my 2020 deck collection, what I have as we end December. There's been a lot that's left. There's been a lot that's come in. Well, I say there's been a lot that's come in. I mean, not really. Whatever. But we're going to see them all. So what I did was I broke them down into a few groups. I'm going to have timestamps below so you can kind of pick and choose. I'm also going to have a list of all the decks, where to find them. They're going to have links if they're not out of print. I think I only have 3 that are out of print, 2 of which usually come back into print, or 1, you'll see. Let's not overcomplicate it, Dani. Calm down. Anyway, so all that's going to be down below. That way, if you want to just skip, you can. And what I'll do is I'll put what decks are in each category down below. So if there's one that you really want to see, you can click that, and I'll try to move it along as best I can. But, you know, I talks. Did I not tell you what stacks I'm going to put them in? Oh my god. We're going to have traditional. We're going to have light tarot decks. We're going to have dark tarot decks. And we're going to have our mid-tone tarot decks. Why? Because it's the easiest way to do it. Okay. On with the show. Also, if you like this video, don't forget to like. If you want to subscribe, don't forget to subscribe. If you want to see when I put up videos all the time and it pop up in your feed, don't forget to hit the bell. If not, that's cool too. Hey, thanks for just being here. Also, all my links, if you're looking to see my Instagram, to interact with me, to book a reading, all kinds of really cool stuff, all those links are going to be down below too. It's going to be a big description. But here we go anyway. Let's do it, guys. All right. So, let's start with traditional. First deck is Tarot of Marseille. This is a low Scarabeo deck. This is the little bitty bitty version. A little bitty Marseille. It's got the limited palette of the red, blue, green, yellow. I use it every once in a while. I like to keep it on my desk. That's why I like smaller versions of stuff. I like to keep it on my desk and pull a card or two. Or if I'm going somewhere and I know I'll have time to mess with cards, then I'll pop one like these in a bag because they're just easy to travel with, more so than any other ones. So, that is my one and only traditional Marseille. Up next, let's start with the original classic. Let's go into my RWS decks. So my first one, obviously, is this poor little thing. It barely keeps itself shut. But I'm not getting rid of the box. I'm not gonna do it. It's my baby. So we have the Rider. Look, it's got tape. Jesus. The Rider Tarot deck. This is the one that I aged with the distressed ink, the distressed oxide. And I did that to kind of tone down this bright yellow. I also modified this when I took the borders off. But you'll notice this version does not have Pixie's lettering. This is the regular lettering. So yeah, this is the yellow box. And we'll continue into all of my traditional Rider-Waite Smith decks with my ultimate favorite. And I'm going to bring them both. That's the the Smith-Waite tarot deck. These are the Centennial editions. I have the one in the tin, which, again, y'all, these backs are my favorite RWS backs. My favorite ones. So I have this one, and I have the borderless. Y'all, these muted tones are everything. I love the borderless. Even on the small ones, it doesn't bother me. The border does not bother me. Now, it does have the US games, whatever, but I don't care. These are my favorite. My absolute favorite. I just love the soft vibes. There's no harsh colors. There's nothing jarring about these decks. These have Pixie's original lettering on it. And then the borderless edition, which is life. And probably my most used writer. Next RWS, this beauty here, which is the Albano weight. These are the ones with the fantastic colors. I love these funky colors, the orange, the golds, the purples. I mean, yes, please. This Knight of Pentacles, like, I don't know what it is about him, but I freaking love him. I love him so hard. So hard. I don't know. That little change of color just makes it so trippy and so fun. My last, like, traditional RWS in, like, this format is this beautiful edition. Now, I do have 2 copies of this because I had a damage on one of the cards. But this one is really nice. This is the original tarot deck, it's called. And it's got some really nice backs. They're plain and simple, but they're really clear. They have Pixie's lettering on them, but they have that linen cardstock, and I like the way they shuffle. But this is a great one as well. The only other copy that I have that I kind of consider an RWS, oh no, is my copy of Deck of the Bastard. Oh my goodness. This is new to my collection as of this year, and it's something that I never knew I wanted. I was gifted this deck, and looking at it online and having it in person is 2 totally different things. Seriously. From someone who has, like, issues with aesthetic, like, I was like, but it doesn't look right because you have all these really cool and vintage style, you know, court cards and majors. Like, it's not going to look right with Pixie's artwork. It's not going to be the same. It really is. It's really beautiful. I really love it. It's one that definitely surprised me. And these are the plastic cards, and I kind of love them. I know some people don't like plastic cards, but y'all, oh, it's like butter. I really do enjoy this deck, and it's like heavy. I don't know. I know they like slippy, but I really like it. I really like it. So yes, this is Deck of the Bastard. Moving on from RWS, I have a couple more what I like to call traditional decks, and they are 2 tins. The first one being the Morgan Greer. I mean, this deck is everything. From these amazing backs to the beautiful colors, and like has that 70s storybook illustration that I love. I've had Morgan Greer for years and years, and it is still one of my favorite. When it comes to like colorful decks, which I don't have a lot of bright colored decks that I use in my everyday practice, this is one that, I don't know, it's bright and it's vibrant, but like, I love it. It's not done in a harsh way. And these backs are the most fun. The most fun. So, a must-have. If you don't have Morgan Greer, man, you're missing out. Missing out. Last one, the Aquarian Tarot. Now, I will say this. I don't feel like the backs of these, as beautiful as they are, I love them. They're like cute and funky. But like they just don't go with the deck. But that's okay. We have all these pinks and then these like stark reds that come out. And my favorite devil card of all time. Of all time, of all time. This is my favorite devil. I just love him. I can't explain it. They have some great stashes. And very unique faces. But yeah, the Aquarian Tarot is definitely one that I use quite often and is on the top of my list. So, that is it for my sort of traditional decks. Okay, so up next are my light decks. So that may be light in color or in vibes, light decks. So, let's start with the Nicoletta Ciccoli. Now, I have both the mini and the large Nicoletta. These I love for inner child work. Matter of fact, I had a spread that I did with it not too long ago. It just does so well for that. I love the small version. I love the big version. But now that I have, because I got the small version first, right? And now that I have the larger version, I think I may use the smaller one for crafting or in my tarot journals. I love the colors. I love the tones. I like how it's soft. Like it only looks childish until you take a step closer. And then you realize how much depth there is to her artwork. And it just kind of adds those layers to the deck. So, it is very light colored, a light vibe, but still very deep. A great deck. My next is going to be the Dreaming Way Tarot. It's so, I mean, obviously Dreaming Way, but it is very dreamlike, but there's also some really cool nods to like the fashion is super interesting. They have like the oh my gosh, is it Richard II who had the pointy shoes? That's like a thing. That's like a real thing. But it's very elf-like in this setting. It's very like storybook-esque. But then they have these like polka dots and checks that just kind of set it apart. And I love the winter vibe of the swords. Definitely one of the top decks in this section. Next up is the Circle of Life Tarot. This is a circle deck. We have these backs. Now, I will say, I feel like the backs don't quite match the front. Now, I know there's a new version that don't have the dark, kind of bluish purple color that surrounds it. I believe it's white. And I go back and forth with this deck because like I really like it, but I don't know. There's something that's still like, do I want to keep it? Do I not want to keep it? So there's the Circle of Life. Yeah, still one that I don't know. We'll see. We'll see if I keep this one. It goes on and off my to be rehomed list. I think one more use, like, you know, one more chunk of use to see before I make that decision. Like, oh, I don't know. I'll go back and forth. Anyway, next is the Illuminated Tarot. So this one is a modified deck. I modified this one. This one is 53 cards, kind of like a playing card deck. Or does it have 54? No, it is 53. Okay. I was like, wait, does it have more than one? But it's just the Fool. Now, these have bright colors. They are vibrant and fun. It's still like limited palettes for each suit. So in this one, we have all the playing cards. So we have spades, hearts, diamonds, clubs. And then we have our scenes depicted, but some of them, like the Ace of Clubs, has a club in the lion's mouth, but also speaks to strength, right? We have the Three of Hearts, Two of Cups is also a nod to temperance. You see the angel with the 2 cups. So you can read them either way. Just fun colors. Again, the 7 of Spades is also a nod to the Chariot. So this is a really fun deck that you can use not only as a tarot deck, but if you want to, you could also use it as a playing card deck. I do have the other packs that go with these. I'm going to put that in my Oracle because this one is the Illuminated Tarot. The other are the Illuminated Playing Cards. Even though it's the same thing, it's different. So I separated them. It's named differently. Come on, guys. Next is the Wonderland Tarot. Of course, this is light and fun. This is kind of one of those decks where I use mostly just for me, just for funsies. It is my only Alice deck. I love this because the illustrations remind me a lot of just what's in the books. And we also have playing card, clubs, hearts, diamonds, spades. Very light and airy deck that definitely stays in my collection. Next up in this light category is Tarot of the Divine. It is light in the sense of all these beautiful bright colors. I love the tales that go along with each and every card. They had to do so much work. They included stuff from around the world, which I thought was amazing. There were stories that I was familiar with. There were stories I had never heard of. This is one of my favorite ones, the Tatterhood, John Henry. Just really great depictions, really beautiful cards. I love the illustrations. Again, very light and airy, but can really sink in and get those deep meanings of all these stories, all the morals and just all the everythings. Just a beautifully done deck with fantastic linen finish cards that I adore. Next, we have the Line Strider Tarot. Again, one of my oldies. You can, sorry. You can see my edges are getting a little tattered and yellowed. These are quite old. They're getting a little warped, beat up. But the watercolor style, the very white, stark background is just gorgeous. I still use these quite a bit. They just have really great depictions. They're nice and simple. Would I say good for a beginner? Probably not. But the guidebook is really fantastic and really gives a lot of information on each card. So definitely worth it. Also has one of my favorite Queen of Cups. Oh, the next deck in this lighter collection is going to be the Modern Witch. Okay, so let me get this out of the box. These cards on so many levels. I like the palette. I love the diversity. They're beautiful cards. They're fun. I feel like they're relatable in so many ways. But y'all, this card stock is too much. I'm not gonna lie, it's too much. Beautiful bag. Almost said bag. Beautiful backs. Beautiful backs. Nice card stock. I mean, it's really sturdy, but it's too sturdy. because I have a lot of trouble shuffling them. If there's ever a version that comes out with thinner cards, I mean, look how thick this deck is. If there is a version that ever comes out with like a thinner card stock, I would definitely buy it, because as much as I love this deck, I find myself not using it as much because of the card stock. It's just so hard to shuffle, and it's a super bummer. So if I do use it, I usually shuffle it in sections, because I feel silly. It's just a little too thick. Up next, the Moonchild Tarot. Y'all, this deck will never not be on my favorites list. I love everything about it. I love the tones. I love how big the cards are. I enjoy Danielle Noel's artwork, the extra cards, and this like soft tone. There are just some times where you need a deck that has soft tones, and this is definitely that deck for me. While it can feel really soothing and has a really feminine, watery vibe to it, like I still feel like it's not just surface, right? There's still so much depth to the cards. It's just a whole vibe. I mean, how gorgeous. So yeah, definitely one that stays on the top of my list. Not even a remote inkling of ever wanting to get rid of this deck. Ever at all. It's just one of those decks for me that feels like it's a part of my soul. Like, it's everything I want in a watery, soft deck. It just is. So, we have the Moonchild Tarot. The next deck is Fairy Tarot cards. This is a deck I don't use. Like, I'm serious, guys. I just don't use it. However, I cannot seem to bring myself to get rid of it. This has the silver gilding, which doesn't hold up very well. It's got these fairies on the back. And these are in color categories, and it's like summer. It's the seasons instead of, our wands and cups and swords. But it also has like a little paragraph at the bottom, a couple of sentences about the card at the bottom. I'm not trying to roast this deck, but the thing is, I bought it, obviously, years ago. I've had this for years, you guys. Because there was something about it, I'm like, I just want it. I want to see if I like the, I don't even know what to call these. The little blips at the bottom. Like, I wanted to see if I liked the wording at the bottom. I wanted to see if I liked the way that it was set up. I like fairy things most of the time. But honestly, like, I'm not trying to roast the person that did the art. I know art takes a lot of time. It's just not for me. Because it's like video game, like 90s video game art is what it looks like to me. And that's just not my vibe. It's like computer generated people. But I can't seem to get rid of it, and I don't know why. Lennon looks through this one a lot. She quite likes this one. And I'm like, well, maybe I'm just keeping it for her. But, like, I'm usually really quick to be like, well, I'm not going to use this. I know you like it, but maybe let's find one that can be part of the collection that you'll use as well. But it's not even that. Like, I just can't describe it. I've tried to convince myself to sell it or, rehome it. I just haven't been able to do it. And I really don't use it. So I've said that this coming year, I am going to use this. I'm going to have it in one of my monthly rotations. And I'm going to see what messages it has for me. And maybe why I can't seem to part with it, even though I don't use it. So, one to uncover. I keep it year after year after year and never use it, so maybe we'll uncover why in 2021. Okay, next. We have a deck that I have not used yet, which is the Cat Tarot. I was gifted this tarot by one of my friends. She saw it online and was like, this is so cute. I think this is one that Lennon would really like. So I wanted to give you this so you and her can have a deck to play with together, because she thought she would like it. And I haven't used it. Oh, look, a gift. You can see a gift for you. You can see I have not used it yet, but I've looked through it. It's adorable. I plan on using it in the coming year. I've had it for, let's see, was that for my birthday this year? Yes, that was for my birthday this year. So I've had it for a while, but I have not used it yet. I don't know why I did it like this. It is quirky and funny and full of cats. Not something I would have ever picked out for myself, but I love the thought behind it, and I love that it was with Lennon and myself in mind when it was purchased, so I just think it's really cute. So I'm curious to see how this is going to read. I will use it in the coming year, because why not? I have it. What do the cats have to tell me? Oh my goodness. A sweet and lovely gift. And you know, look at that tower. Now on to Whispering Spirits. So I won this in a giveaway. Y'all, I never win anything. This is the first thing I ever won. I'm so excited. Now, this is another one that I've used a lot with Lennon. At night, we pull cards. And it's got these lovely backs. They're really big. Like, this is a really big deck. But it's bendy and it's easy to shuffle. So while not my usual aesthetic, while not something that I usually go for, I find myself really enjoying this deck and looking forward to using it next year. I'm going to put a lot of stuff into rotation. I want a light and airy deck each month to kind of bring in different vibes, because I have a tendency to stay in the same vibe when it comes to tarot, and I just kind of want to expand that and kind of push my boundaries. So I'm definitely looking forward to using this myself, but I do enjoy using this with my little girl. We have a lot of fun pulling cards and looking at all the little details. So yeah, definitely light, fluffy fun, but I do really dig this deck. My next light and airy is the Ethereal Visions. This is a beautiful deck. There's so much depth to this deck. Now, I will say it's not the easiest deck to photograph, mostly because the gold doesn't always pick up, or when it does, it kind of looks strange. But I do love the soft tones and all the Art Deco vibes. Very beautiful. And I'm waiting for their companion oracle. I did pre-order that, so I'm looking forward to using those two together as soon as I get my hands on it. And then these have the extra cards as well. The Artist, the Well, just some really good additions to the tarot. We have my little Mesquite Tarot. Now, this is one that is currently out of print. However, if I'm not mistaken, they are about to put this back into print. This little deck, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it in my collection. I adore it. We have just genderless figures throughout the deck. I love the size. I love the muted, limited palette. Y'all know that. This deck feels like spring to me. And maybe it's like the pinks that come through. So this is one of those decks that I think I'll have in my collection forever. I just will. It's fantastic. So keep an eye out for that. It is, like I said, out of print, but I believe that they are working on a new edition. Okay, next up is the Seventh Sphere Tarot. This is the Barnes & Noble's edition. This is the RWS style Seventh Sphere. Y'all know these silhouettes, this muted palette. Oh, I have been using the crap out of this deck. No lie. No lie. It has stayed on my desk, like to the point I still haven't found a bag for it because I've just been using it. So I just keep like shifting it around. So I'm going to make a bag for it. Last deck, I'm not really going to show, but I will tell you about it. I'm going to show you the backs. So these backs are from the Ocean Dry Tarot. So this is a new deck. This is coming soon. I'm going to have a video about it. I've been using it. This is from the creator Colin Campbell. He has done a fantastic job on this Ocean Dry Tarot. But I'm going to link his Instagram below. That way you can check out what he's shown on his channel. Not his channel. His Instagram. So you can see this deck. But it is coming soon. But I'll have more about it later. This is a bright, fun, very different deck. So this is just a little sneak peek at the backs. Oh, I almost forgot. We have one more for this section. The Fountain Tarot. You guys, how could I forget? So we have the beautiful Fountain Tarot. It's got, again, some of my favorite muted palettes. This deck is so masculine to me. I love these vibes. I love the soft tones. And y'all, for Gilded deck, this has held up so well. I use the crap out of this deck. I'm not even gonna lie. I love the geometric patterns that we find in here. They're like hard edges, but soft colors. The whole vibe of this deck just does something for me. It's like modern, but relatable. And I know that sounds weird. Like, modern, but relatable. Like, if it is modern, it's usually relatable. However, I find myself being, I don't know, kind of turned off by more modern decks, I guess. Normally, when it comes to tarot, I want to see, I don't know, I don't want to see modern because I want to be in the realm of magic. I don't know. It's a weird thing for me. So I don't always like modern depictions in my tarot, I guess, is where I'm at with it. But this one is different. And so is the modern witch. I feel it. I like it. I dig it. So you won't find many of those in my collection, but these two do it for me. So I'm glad I didn't forget this one. It was off to the side. It's one of my favorite decks. I use this one a lot, y'all. Like I said, very impressed with this gilding because it is not frayed to all hell. You know what I mean? Okay. Moving on. Okay, so let's move on to our mid-tone tarot. What does that mean? That means like my more earthy vibes, sort of artistic, like art style decks have a tendency to be more mid-tones. Earthy, fae vibe decks. That's where this is. My main aesthetic, right? My main aesthetic. This is where it's at. So let's start with the Tarot Mucha. Or Mucha, or however you say it. I'm sorry, I don't ever say it right. Every time I say one thing, someone says I'm pronouncing it wrong. So, that deck. This is very much Art Deco vibes. It is beautiful. Each suit has its own tone. So we have some orangey, fiery goodness for the wands. Of course, we have some blue for the cups. The pentacles have a sort of almost like greenish, grayish tone to them. I've had this one again for ages upon ages, and it's one that I will constantly go back to. Next up is the Golden Tarot by Cat Black. Oh, this is so aesthetic, you guys. I love these tones. I love all of her choices. She put this together collage style from these old pieces of art, and I just adore it. Now, this has a lot of religious iconography in it, but I'm gonna tell you, for one that usually has trouble with religious iconography, the way she did this one, I don't have a problem with it at all. If I had to say something bad about it, it would be that this is very shiny. It's very shiny. And the gilding. Look. You can already see, hope it picks up, that I have some that are already chipping from shuffling, and like I shuffle. Now, I mean, I do have the option of modifying this deck because the backs are very plain. So I could modify it, which I'm thinking I might, only because of the damage that's already happening to some of these with the gold gilding. So, beautiful deck. Very aesthetic. Up next, we'll get into some of the Fae style. How about that? We have Fairy Lights Tarot. This is a fun deck. Very beautiful artwork. Now this deck is one that has matching pairs throughout, which is a really fun element. But honestly, aside from just finding all the pairs and matching them up just for funsies, I don't really pay much attention when I'm using them in a reading, unless it's like blatantly obvious that the two are together. Then I will obviously say something about the connection, right? So here we are. We have the matching scene. So you see, we have the High Priestess with the Seven of Wands. So again, if they would come up together in a reading, I would probably be linking the situation or speaking to that if it comes up. But for the most part, I just use them as regular tarot. They're very beautiful. Anyway, these are one of my unique decks, along with the next one, which I talk about quite a bit, Tarot of the Secret Forest. So these have our fronts, and then black and white on the back. So we have like our Ace of Cups, the front, and then the back. Sometimes I find there's a little bit different picture on the back, or like a bit more clarity to the picture on the back. It's very strange. It's very strange how these function. Now, I will say I'm still having trouble with the black at the top and bottom. You'll notice they have like the colors of the suit. Each suit has a different color up at the top. But there's something about the black that I'm just not vibing with. I really want to break this deck out of the borders completely. The only thing that there is, like the bottom has the drawing of like the sword and especially the cup. I'll show you a cup. Those come up above that border. So I'm wondering if like the pentacles do the same, just slightly. But I'm wondering if I couldn't just cut them off anyway. But anyway, I digress. Let's move on. Next up is an out-of-print deck, the Tarot of Durer. Now, this is a fantastic... Oh! I had them put in there and it was a little bent at the bottom. This is artwork based on, like, kind of inspired by Durer's artwork, which I use in my deck in Mystic Masters. I use some of his work that I alter, and you can see a few of those in these cards, but this is not his artwork. This is just inspired by it. It's got these really cool, like, old paper vibes in the background. It's got some really funny depictions. It's got some really interesting choices for the miners. I'm trying to see, like, there's this Hercules depiction. We have a lot of animals in each suit. We have an animal for each. I'm trying to find it's beautiful, beautiful artwork. Oh, look. This is based on my Knight of Cups. I use this one. This is the Knight of Wands, obviously, but I use this same depiction of his artwork in my Knight of Cups. And there's also another one. Watch it be the last one. Oh, yeah. Our Knight of Pentacles. It's the same. That only took forever. Like it even matters anymore. But I'll show you those in mine in just a few. But same choice as well. Which I thought was funny because I got this deck when I was finishing up my tarot. And because I noticed that it was... I didn't even know about this deck at all. I found it on eBay. Didn't know it was out of print. It was an all-around surprise. So when I got it in and I saw some of the similarities, I just thought it was so cool. And it's a really good deck. I use it quite a bit. So, in that same tone, let's just bust it out, you guys. Let's just bust out some Mystic Masters. Obviously, this is mid-tone hashtag aesthetic because it's my hashtag aesthetic, right? So we have Mystic Masters. So, while I just kind of flip through, I have plenty about this on my channel. And it is back in the shop. We have some limited quantities until the next order run, which is going to be in the new year. So if you're looking for it, I would definitely snag it. So you can see, look, there we go. There's my Knight of Cups. The same kind of depiction. And then my Knight of Coins. So he drew his very similar to this with the coin on the side. So I just thought that was absolutely fantastic. It was so much fun. So you guys, I am going to be doing a series in the coming year on my deck. It's going to be kind of an in-depth study of Mystic Masters, kind of like a video guidebook, if you will. A guide video? I don't know. But it's going to be broken up into different parts, and I'm going to be talking about each card in depth. So it'll be broken up into a bunch of different videos so you can watch it. If you're ever like, why did she choose this? What is this? Then you can always take a look at that. Granted, the guidebook, the PDF guidebook does have kind of my main blip about it, but I'm going to be expanding upon that. So there is Mystic Masters, you guys. Next up is the John Bauer Tarot. You can see this is very loved, this little tuck box. So if I had to say something negative, it would be, I don't like the red on the back. Lay sigh. But it's fine, because the front, I love. I know a lot of people don't like art that has been put into the tarot, like by a single artist, right? Taking their work and try to fit it in the tarot. But I don't mind it. I really don't. I mean, if it works, right? Like, I don't mind it if it works. Just like Nicoletta Ciccoli, there are some that I feel really, really work, and others that I'm like, I don't know. But more than not, I like each depiction. Did that come out right? IDK. But just like this one, for the most part, I love the choices. I agree with the choices, and I just feel like it works. But I love this aesthetic. This is another one where I have been considering taking off the top and bottom. Yeah. The green doesn't bother me, but I'm like, would it be better without it? Just one of them things. We'll figure it out. So that is the John Bauer Tarot. Oh, I missed one of my fave vibes. I have this one wrapped up in a vintage handkerchief. And that is the Tarot of the Hidden Realm. This is all the fave vibes. All the everythings. Holy cow. Probably my favorite Fae style deck. It is so earthy. It is so intense. And it just captures this vibe for me so well. And I thought that this would be a little harder to read because I felt like it was very face-based. Does that sound weird? Do you know what I mean? Like, instead of a situation, it's just like a person or a figure in each. But, well, except for the aces, they're animals. But even so, the way that the artist expresses their emotions just clear as day on their faces, it is not a hindrance at all. It brings stuff to life that I don't know, that I just connect with, you know? Such a beautiful deck. So, Tarot of the Hidden Realm. Let's kind of hit on some, like, pagan-y vibes. We have the Wildwood Tarot. What am I even doing? Y'all know before today. So this one I did cut and edge. So I modified this one to remove the sides. This is the Wildwood Tarot. Very pagan. I love this deck so much. A big staple when it comes to fall and winter. Really, honestly, okay, I said that, but like the turning of the wheel in general, it's like I want to reach for this deck all the time. And while I'm not gonna lie, I had some trouble at first with the court being animals. Like, I don't know. I love animals, but in my tarot, they're just not my forte. But again, this is one of those decks where like I'm willing to understand, like take the time to understand. And there's still times it comes up where I just like ignore the animal and focus on the fact that this is the Page of Stones. What does the Page of Stones mean to me in general? But it's one that I'm still like diving into these animals and trying to put together the real and have that connection with me. So if I had to say there was one thing about this deck that I still kind of go back and forth with, it's the court cards, you know? King of Bows, the Adder, I feel like I get it. You know what I mean? Like, ugh, they oohed me out, but whatever. This is the vibe I mean when I said, you know, when I was talking about the Fountain Tarot, and I was talking about how it's that like modern, like I don't prefer modern in my tarot. Like this kind of thing, like I prefer that like otherworldly take me to another space that's out of my normal life, I guess. I mean, there's a bunch that I've had in between but it sparked me while I was showing this one to kind of go back on what I said about that deck. And like, I guess it's just these vibes that I'm looking for. Take me to another realm. So in the very same realm of that is the Druidcraft Tarot. So this is the one that I have that is altered. It's modified. I do have another version of this deck. I bought the big box version because I wanted the book. So I have a Druidcraft intact, but this is my working Druidcraft. It is fully trimmed, and I edged it in like shiny gold. It's very soft, but it's got some like little gold flecks. Again, nothing's in order. But it, like the Wildwood, takes me to that very like pagan-y, obviously druid vibe, which I do love in my tarot. So definitely one of my top, my sweet Druidcraft Tarot. Let's talk Game of Thrones Tarot. Y'all, I have the first edition, so mine still has the linen finish. I do kind of want to get this in the smooth finish because they say you can see different things in the art a little better with the regular finish. But, oh man, this Game of Thrones Tarot is life. Makes me want to rewatch the show every time I pull it out. And there's still so much to uncover in this deck. I just find different things, different layers, different stories every time I look at them. So here we have the Game of Thrones Tarot. Definitely one of like the classic decks that I go back to over and over and over again to take me to a different world and to put me into that fandom. You know what I mean? Okay. Onward and upward to... Ooh, another one that does that. Hush Tarot. I love this deck. I sat and I read the whole guidebook. I wanted to see what he had to say about each and every card. I love the tones. Again, we have that mid-tone palette. We have these earthy vibes. Another one that it's heavy on the animal depiction, but for whatever reason, my brain just thinks it works. It's funny how it does that. It is funny how it does that, but for whatever reason, it just kind of works for me. And again, this is another deck that has like little things that the more you look at it, the more you find. So yeah, Hush Tarot, would recommend. I have not done a walkthrough of this one on my channel. I've had it since it came out, but I just never did. I really dove into it, and I guess maybe that's why. Like I didn't like open it or unbox it or do anything like that. I just like dove in. I was really waiting for that one. Okay, next let's talk wooden tarot. So this deck is all on wood. You can see all the different tones. Wood background. Now I say, I swear to God, I say, well, I don't really go towards animal decks and blah, blah, blah. There's animals in all these decks. Am I a liar or just not realize? I guess it has to have a certain vibe, right? Like, it's just got to have a certain vibe. I say it and then I see all these animals and I'm like, maybe I'm just tripping. I don't know. But there's something strange and mysterious about this deck. And as funny as it is, I tend to use it when I'm reading, when I'm doing readings that are kind of strange or like uncharted territory or kind of diving into something a little more esoteric. I tend to use this deck, you know, shadowy work or ancestor work, or I don't know, when I dive into the unknown. I like it. It just, y'all, this chariot is everything. I like bugs and snails and bones. You know, I like bones. So, okay, to be fair, it's animals, but it's a lot of bones. So, I mean, there's that. Moth. It's very strange. It's very cool. Love this fool. It does have the happy squirrel, which I showed a while ago, but this is a fun deck. Again, it makes me feel very like I'm diving into something very mysterious. Like I'm touching the other world, the unknown. Next we have the Honessa House, or however you say it. That's the best I can do, you guys. I'm terrible at pronouncing stuff. I don't do it on purpose. I'm just not skilled in these things, but that deck. It's beautiful. Now, this is the 4th edition. This is the 4th edition. That doesn't say on here. But there is a new edition coming out, or it might be out right now, the 5th edition, which has green tones, and it is more the shape of kind of like a normal tarot, like a standard tarot, versus these long cards. But I love the long cards. This is so beautiful. She also recently wrote a guidebook, which I got. So I'm excited to see what she has to say, because she talks about the plants and the different meanings that she has for each card. So I'm really excited to read it. I just have, like, since I got it, matter of fact, looking up the new edition, I found that she had a copy of the guidebook for sale. So I purchased one, and it's digital. So this is definitely something I'm going to dive into when I work with this deck again. Such a great deck. And if you put it all together, these are hand cut, so they're not perfectly even. You can see I've already started doing a little bit of gold gilding. Well, not gilding really, just kind of gold, a gold tone edging, but I'm just starting. I'm going slow. It kind of sits on my desk and I'll do a few and then I'll stop. But I am working on that. Okay. Up next, let's go into more of like the art vibes. Let's do the art vibes. Let's start with the Beautiful Rebellion. Now, right now, this one is out of print, but I know she usually puts it back in print. I think I have the link. I think I'll link it below her website, but it is currently out of print. But this is the Beautiful Rebellion. Oh my gosh, I wish I could remember. If it's you, put a comment below and then I'll link it. But someone tagged me on Instagram. They modified this deck and took the yellow off. But well, not took it off. But they hid the yellow under a gold pin. Oh, it was beautiful, and I think I want to do that. I really do. Oh, nope. Sorry. I was like, what is he doing? Wrong picture that I was thinking of. But yeah, I do love the linen cardstock. I love the depictions, the pictures. Now there's a few that are zoomed in a lot, so they're a little blurry. But honestly, with this deck, I don't really mind. I really don't. It's just a joy to work with. Yes. So, that is the Beautiful Rebellion. I think this is the first edition. I think. Don't quote me on that. I have it just in the little bag that it came in. My box is in my house, so I don't have that info. If I'm wrong, I'll link it. Or I'll make note. Next, my Pagan Otherworlds. I consider this kind of art because it feels like Renaissance art to me. Oh my god, what is happening? Oh, I bet that's my moons. Yes. So this has the moons. Sometimes I pull a moon card, so I like to keep them separate after I use it. Sometimes I do them in the deck, sometimes I don't. Anyway, this has moon cards. But look at this. Holy cow. Every time I look at it, it just gets more beautiful. It's like soft. Yes, it's soft, but it's also so earthy to me. And it's got those Renaissance vibes. It's like slightly pippish, but not. I don't know. It's like its own thing to me. There's so much to gain on just the little scenes. The two dogs in front of the house for the Ten of Pentacles makes me think of like a lord and lady, right? The turbulent seas. So it's like it's pippish, but it has depth. And I do have the guidebooks to these, which are fantastic. I love the way that the guidebook is set up. Anyway, that is Pagan Otherworlds. I've seen a lot of people talking about and doing modifications on this deck, which, do your thing. Have fun. Man, I don't know. I just feel like they're perfect. They're perfect the way they are. But I also love to see the modifications because it does look really cool with no borders and all gilded and stuff, or edged and all kind of, fun and funky things that people do with this deck. But for me, they're perfect. And I do have the first edition. I know some people keep their seals. I totally popped my seal. I didn't even think about it. I was just like, this is mine now. You know how that goes. Ooh, one of my more recent purchases, this big hunkin' deck right here. With my favorite medieval cats. We have the Medieval Europe Tarot, y'all. How great is this deck? It is all the greatness. That's how great. I love this. I did also see, speaking of like modifications and stuff, I did see someone on a Facebook group post their modification of this deck. They didn't care for the, I almost said yellow. This is orange. This is orange, Dani. They took the orange and they painted over it a different color. I mean, it was cool. It was cool. I'd just be afraid that it would flake everywhere. These are just, I'd just be so scared to mess up this deck because I love it so much. Again, it's got those earthy vibes. It brings me somewhere different. Look at that. Look at that. Why is it my favorite thing? There's another one. There's another one. I don't know. Do I love it just for the weird cats? I do. I do. And for all the other things. Okay, I know I'm not going to do a whole thing. But this is a really big deck. It's got a lot of cards. But it's the most fun. It is the most fun. And so we move on to the last deck in this category. And that is, again, this poor tuck box has gone through a lot. I use it all the time. The revival art, you guys. Y'all know this. Y'all know this about me. You know that revival art ain't going nowhere. Oh, I love it. Guys, I've been pairing this with the Supra Oracle. and it is phenomenal. Like all these rich earthy tones mixed with that black and white of the Super Oracle is just, oh, that's everything. All those etchings alongside the, oh, I'm sorry, did y'all hear that? That was my stomach. It said hello. Oh. I found this deck to be amazing at like path working and storytelling, to sit with the court and create kind of a backstory and like a story for each one of the court cards was probably one of my favorite exercises. Did I do that last year or this year? God, I can't even remember. Time is nothing to me. And I would love to do it for the whole deck. Like, I would like to do a deep dive, like a Dawn Michelle tarot study, full study of this in that way. And if y'all don't know what I'm talking about, I'm gonna link Dawn Michelle's video. I mean, if you haven't found Dawn Michelle and haven't watched this video, I don't know where you've been, but you're missing out, so I'm gonna share. Anyway, there's not many decks that I would want to really do that with, but man, this one, I might just take the time and do it. Anyway, this is not a full showing of revival art. So let us move on. That was the last one of this category. Okay, last but certainly not least, let's go into my darker tone deck. So these are going to be darker in vibes or themes or just all the rest. So let's start with, I guess, a light darkness. The Halloween Tarot. So again, this is one of the, darker times of the year. We get some Halloween vibes. So I figure, yeah, darker decks. So this was fun. This came into my collection this year. If you saw my Halloween deck video, this was a lot of fun to use and work with. I can't wait to use it again. So I think next year I might even trim the white off. I know they're small, but for some reason I just want to see that more. I don't know. We'll see. Up next is another kind of lighter dark. We'll start with those first. And that's the Everyday Witch. I know this is a strange place for it, but like I didn't feel like it went with my light decks, and it definitely didn't go with my mid-tone decks. So I figured this would be the best place for it, because I mean there is kind of that like Halloween witch vibe to it. Now I used this very minimally this year. This was new to my collection because it's one of those, again, I got the mini because I wasn't sure how much I was going to like it. But because I feel like it's become sort of iconic in a way, I did want to try to use it. And I wanted to see if I could connect with it. Because again, this is one of those decks that it puts a bit of a modern life spin on it. So even though it takes you to another world, all the witches' hats kind of throw me off. And how we're in this otherworldly, like, Renaissance-looking dresses, medieval dresses, and then we get something thrown in that's like, having wine on a beach, and then having, where is it? Oh, I think I already passed it. Like, yoga class, being on a tropical island. So it kind of intermingles, like, I'm gonna air quote, like, yeah, like motorcycles, like modern life, real life, and this like fantasy world. And I don't know if I like that. Like, I love these depictions, like, have it be witchy, but like stay in a witchy world, maybe? I don't know. But I'm still using it. I'm still Well, I'm not using it right now, but I have a plan to use it this next year. I think the backs are adorable, but like, I still want to give it a try. I really want to explore it in a different way, but I think that's the most jarring part about it, is just like, you have this witchy world, this, you know, stones and great, I don't know, ye old time vibe, and then it's shattered by modern day, like a Wheel of Fortune looking type thing, you know, like a yoga class. And while I love that as a standalone, when I'm looking at it as a whole, it brings me out of the world. I don't know why I spent all this time saying that, but there it is. Still going to be working with it. Still have it. We're going to see after next year. Another one that just came into my collection, we have The Nightmare Before Christmas, which was hella fun. I edged it in black. We have, of course, these dark vibes. Tim Burton style art by Abigail Larson, which is always fantastic. Sort of Pippish. I'm not going to go through these as much. So we have some that are Pippish, some that are not. They're a little situational. So they're back and forth. I know some people like that, some people don't. It doesn't bother me because it is what it is. It's my Nightmare Before Christmas deck. You know what I mean? But I know we recently went over those, so I'm not going to go crazy with that. But there we have it. Nightmare Before Christmas. Up next is a copy of the first tarot deck I've ever owned. Now, mine came with the big kit, which I think you can still find. You can still find the big kit on Amazon. Now, when I went to repurchase it, it wasn't there, but it is there now. I'm like, oh, do I want it? But I already have it, you know, in this form, so I'm not going to get it. But the one that I had came with this deck and the palmistry book, which was so fun. So these are little square cards. It's called like the Tarot Nova, but this is like Tarot Complete Kit, the Complete Kit. These are the backs, they're reversible. And they're just on a black background, simple little cards. Each suit has a different color. I don't really use this deck so much. It's like nostalgic reasons. Like 12-year-old Dani had this deck, and I think that that's great. It's like where I first got introduced to this on a different level, you know? Fun little deck. Plain and simple. Like, this is one of those images from the Hierophant that, like, stuck and burned in my mind from the time I, you know, first picked it up as a kid. Every time I see the Hierophant, like, I think of this depiction of it. So, yeah, like I said, more nostalgic than useful for me. I don't know why that is. Like, I don't know why I don't, like, take it out and use it. Maybe I will this year. Just to, like, bring it back. Next, we'll do a majors only deck that I created a hot minute ago, and that is my Harry Potter majors. I want to revisit this because I think I want to remake these cards. I want to, I don't know, I want to get a little more in depth with them. I want to have them printed out versus my crappy printer. Oh my goodness. Even if it's just like sheets, you know, just have them printed elsewhere where they have better ink than I do, better printer than I do. But I think I want to expand. Like, I want to go this and then get into the minors. Maybe not every single one, but like, this is just for me, obviously. So like, I don't know. It's just a fun exercise that I just like diving into. I mean, I'm a Harry Potter fan through and through. I've been a Harry Potter fan since I was 13, you know? Just a little less time than I've been into tarot. And while tarot fell off my radar as a 20-something, Harry Potter never has. So, I don't know. That's just something that I want to go through. But anyway, it's a darker tone, and I still have it, and I still think about it. So I want to revisit it. So, next up, let's go to everybody's staple. That's not true. But it's everywhere, and I love, love, love Kim Kranz's art. That's the Wild Unknown Tarot. I do go back and forth with this deck, like, do I want to keep it? Do I want to use it? I can tell you that I don't know if I even picked it up this year. Maybe at the beginning of the year I used it. Maybe when the Archetypes deck came out, I might have pulled it back out. And then I don't even know. But there's something about it. I love her art. As an art piece, I love it. And I used it so much. So much. But now I just don't find myself reaching for it. And so I think that I do want to revisit this deck this year. And I do want to see if maybe I want to modify it. You know, maybe I want to edge it, or maybe I just want to deep dive with it and kind of see if I still want this in my collection. But a part of me, it's like that fairy deck. Like I've considered giving it, you know, to someone. I've considered selling it, but I just can't. Like I can't, because I'm attached to it in some ways that are just like really hard to explain. So this is still holding strong in my collection, but it hasn't got much use lately, and I do love that. And that's the thing. I love this as an art piece, but I like to keep stuff that function. So yeah. Up next, one that we saw recently. Again, I did a walkthrough recently, and it was part of my Halloween decks. That is the Tarot de Marseille par Polka. The backs, I turned that way too fast, like you could see anything. So we have this fun and quirky, umbilical cord filled, creepy deck with all the dark vibes, dark colors, bloody things that I just simply can't get enough of. I love the tone. I love the quirkiness of it, the strangeness of it, and even the bit of grotesque thrown in there. Like, it just doesn't bother me. Again, it makes me think of curiosities and you know, oddities, and I love it as part of my collection. And I do like to have it, you know, be a part of my new spooky time rituals. Next, let's go into 8 Coins Tarot. So I did modify this deck. I edged it in red, which is kind of fading. I'm kind of disappointed in this edging, but it's not bad. And I did trim it. I like this deck. I use this deck, but I will still say it every time when one of these colored pencil ones come up. It brings me out of my situation, and I'm just thinking like, God, I wish it was done in this same, oh shoot, now I'm gonna, brain fart. I'm gonna put it down here. It's like spit, it's a spit technique, but it's watercolor. I love everything. And then they have these these colored pencils, and there's only like 2 or 3. And I guess that's why it's so like frustrating to me to see them pop up, because there's not many of them. And if there are, like, this one was done with marker, it looks like. There are different forms of media, but like they're not as jarring as those light color pencils. This one. Like, I don't know why it bothers me so much, but like, there's no background. It's one of the only ones that does that. There's no background. There's just color pencil. I don't know. I don't know why it bothers me so much, but I still use it because I don't have anything like it. You know what I mean? Like, I don't have anything like it that replaces the tone and the vibe of this kind of like tattoo style. I don't have anything that mimics it. So I still use it, even though it kind of bugs me. I still like it. Maybe that's the bruise that you can't stop touching. That's kind of what this deck is to me. Okay, next up, we have the Marielle. Oh. So I have the second edition Marielle with the black gilding. I mean, it's the Marielle. What can we say? There's still so much I feel like I need to learn from this deck. So much. And I'm still diving into it. It's one of those that I feel like every time I study with it and work with it, I uncover something else. I realize something else. There's so much to this deck. Heart, soul, spirit, everything she poured into this thing. And there's so many just odd images. Like, on the surface, they're very odd, but like when you start digging into it, like, you understand where they come from. I really love it. I still kind of wish they didn't change the cards that they did. Like, I'm kind of upset that I don't have the Hierophant from the first edition. And I don't have the first edition. I didn't snag it. I don't know if you still can. Last time I looked, I couldn't find it. That's the only thing I'm like, oh. But I'm not that mad. There's so much to this deck that I'm still diving into. So I'll be doing some work with the Marielle this coming year as well. So there is the second edition. Up next is the Hayworth Tarot. Avert your eyes. Everyone avert your eyes. If you do not like horror. We have the super awesome, very creepy Hayworth Tarot. Again, I'm going through these a little bit faster because I know we went over quite a few of these in this category for my Halloween video, but they are definitely worth mentioning. The Hayworth is also based on the podcast, which, again, I've said I haven't listened to yet. It's on my to-do list, but I enjoy it anyway. Another good storytelling deck. Up next is the Antique Anatomy. So I put it in this one. I feel like it could also branch into my midtones because, I mean, just the actual tone of it, but I guess since it's full of skulls, I chose to keep it here. Although I did put the wooden tarot into my midtone. Whatever. I guess they can both go in either one, really. But this Antique Anatomy is definitely still top of my list for my pip decks because, I mean, all the hashtag aesthetics, right? Bones and botanicals. I'm living for it. I am here for it. And I will say this over and over again. I thought this flimsy cardstock was going to bug me. It doesn't at all. It has worn so well. Like, I don't have a chip. I don't have a ding. Like, I really thought these were going to get ate up because I use them a lot. But y'all, beautiful. I have one. Look, call me a liar. Don't call me a liar. Barely. I ain't mad at it. For what it was, I am super, super happy. Okay, next. let's go Deviant Art. Deviant Moon. Deviant Art, for those of you who don't know, was a platform. I think it still is. I think you can still hang out on Deviant Art. But I used to look at all kinds of stuff there in college. Anyway, this is the Deviant Moon. Much different. So again, you love it or you hate it. Deviant Moon. I'm a lover. Again, another storytelling deck. There's something about a storytelling deck that just speaks to me. It puts me in another world, and that's where I'm looking for. Because I feel like when I'm reading tarot, I'm connected with that other world. I want to see something otherworldly. Even though what I'm talking about sometimes is of this world and more modern and not more mystical, I still want to have that connection. And so this definitely does that for me. The Sasare Bito Tarot. I giggle because a lot of us refer to this, I think, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Kelly Bear started it. We've dubbed this the Sassy Burrito Tarot. But it's very lovingly called that. At least for me, I love this deck so hard. My gilding is, it's seen better days. I was gifted this tarot deck by Becca, and it's, look at this. It has been well loved. It is still well loved. I might consider trimming the edges just because the gilding is really becoming a mess. So, everything about the Sasare Bito is amazing to me. I thought I would have, I wasn't sure if I wanted this deck, and I was going to buy it. I was talking to Becca a long time ago when it was right when it was first coming out. And she had snagged a copy, and I was like, tell me how you like it. I'm really considering it. I'm just not sure. It was the big border words at the bottom, titles. I don't know why I can't talk anymore. Probably because it's been a hot freaking minute I've been doing this. But I was like, I just don't know if I'm going to like it. And she was like, listen, I don't use it. Let me gift it to you. And she did so lovingly do that. And I have yet to put it down. It is one in my collection that I go to quite often. As you can see, it's starting to get very lovely worn. The borders, the black borders don't bother me at all. The big titles don't bother me at all. Because even though this is very modern, it just works for me. I love the watercolors. I love the depictions. I love the quirkiness of it and just the choices that were made. And the guidebook is great as well. So, yeah. Here's to the Sassy Burrito. Let's go to my Spellcaster's Tarot. I put this in a darker tone. I feel like this probably could have gone in mid-tones as well. But it's so, like, occult heavy that it does give me a deeper vibe. A darker vibe. I super connected with this deck on a whole nother level. And it's got some, like, these depictions, like the High Priestess has no face. Just this black figure, shiny, almost like this latex look of this, like, shiny black, no face, no nothing. So mysterious and so otherworldly, like, alien-esque. Like, wow. Like, wow. And, like, this just, like, creepy hanged man with all the runes all surrounded, faceless, white sheet wrapped up, sewn together. It's, like, got these, like, scary vibes, like some kind of cultish, crazy, weird stuff could be going on. And I love it. We have the Green Empress. I don't know, that green skin that just kind of glimmers. So there's figures from all different vibes in here. Creatures of all different vibes. People of all different vibes. And scary spooky devil. Again, going into that metal version. But I'm not mad at it. I just adore. I can't gush anymore about this deck. I really can't. I use it that much. It's been in my collection, and I feel like will stay in my collection perpetually, if I'm being honest. On to the dark wood. Obviously, in the dark decks, the dark wood, all these fairy tale vibes, all these creepy tendrils, the curls of Abigail Larson's artwork is everything. The only thing about this deck, I say it every time, I want to blow that border and zoom in. There's so much intricacy to her line work that I just want to see it on a bigger scale. I wish these cards were bigger. That's my only thing. The borders don't bother me at all. It's not a border thing. Because, like, they're really just a shadowed border. Right? You can still see everything around it. It just kind of tightens in. But at the same time, like, it's not about that. It's not about the borders. It's about wanting to see closer what's hiding in the tree, right? All in all, this is one that I just love her artwork. It is not holding up as well as I hoped. You can see my edges are kind of getting a little frayed already. I say already. I mean, it's not that old, considering some that I've had for years, though it's being damaged quicker than I would like it to be. So there's that. I might edge it to kind of save those edges, you know? I haven't been doing mini deck modifications, so it's just one of those things that, like, kind of pile up on my list and, like, oh, well, maybe when I'm, you know, sitting with it, I'll just start doing that. Another one that I cannot seem to quit is the Mini Queen's Tarot. It floors me that I don't see more people working with this tarot. I love it deep in my soul. Deep in my soul. And I just backed the Reclaim Oracle, which is like pink and black, because it's got this funky artwork that I feel like is going to go so well with this. Like, I'm really excited about that. More on that next year when it comes out. But Mini Queen's Tarot is black and white. Funky. Fun. Everything. Oh, I love it. And sometimes I take this. I did it year before last. No, last year. 2019. I did it in 2019, where I would copy the card and put it in my tarot journal or in my bullet journal, and I would color it, which was such a fun exercise. But these are weird bodies, angular artwork. I just enjoy it. There's no other way to describe it. I just enjoy it. It's something that I would like to have one or two more in my collection that are just kind of black and white. Well, and I say that, I did add one more, my most recent addition. I've been looking at this deck for, I swear, forever, you guys. It has been on my wish list. I've been back and forth. I've been using the app that goes with it because I just love the style. That is the Golden Thread. This deck is hella cool. When I first opened it and I saw these cards and the stock, I was like, this is garbage. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's what I said. What is this? And then I shuffled it and I was like, snap judgment. Okay. I will say you can, I wonder if you can see. I don't know if you can see. It does flake, the gold flakes, but this is all, like, I have to, like, brush it off because the gold flakes. I hope that it doesn't completely flake off. I'm kind of worried about it with as much gold flaking as there is. But these are plastic cards. Gold, kind of embossed cards on this plastic, this black plastic. But y'all, all the aesthetics. Like just that black and gold aesthetic. I mean, if you've seen Witch in the Wild, if you've seen my shop, that is the aesthetic I have. Black and white and gold is the aesthetic that I absolutely love. I love to create in that. I'm just worried about how well these are going to hold up in the long run. But they've been fun to play with thus far. Like I said, these are my newest. I just finally bit the bullet and got it. I've been considering it for so long. And I was just like, just do it already. And I'm really glad that I did. Now, I did have 2 cards. I don't know if you can see that mark on it. I had 2 cards when I opened up the package that have a little bit of damage on them. I think just in manufacturing. But, like, it's fine. I'm not incredibly... Like, I'm not one of those people. And I know everybody's like, I mean, that's your cards, though. You're going to want to have it, blah, blah, blah. And, I do. But at the same time, like, it doesn't bother me enough to, like, hey, this card's messed up. Can I get a new one? Like, I just can't be bothered. For being honest, like, that's Dani in a nutshell. I just can't be bothered. Anyway, I really enjoy it thus far. I'm just starting out with it, so I'm excited to see how it plays out, and I'm fingers crossed it'll go well. So, the last deck to show, the Marguerite Peterson deck. I chose this as a dark deck because it has those vibes. That abstract vibe just seems like a darker and deeper vibe to me. So this one's more about vibes. Now, I received this as a gift from a friend. I love the crone. This was another one of those decks that I wasn't sure. It had been on my list and I'm like, I don't know if I'm gonna like it. Like, I don't know if I want it, right? I'm just not sure yet. And she was not using it. And she was like, look, do you want this deck? I can gift it to you. You know, I'm not using it. And so I was like, yes, I will absolutely take this deck. And I haven't worked with it yet. It's on my to-do list. I just didn't have the time. Like, I want to spend time with this. And this year just wasn't conducive to that. Which is why I'm setting up, I keep saying next year. I have a study and kind of deck system that I want to use next year so I can dive in and use the decks in a different way that I have and kind of really put my collection to use next year in a way that'll help me determine what it is I want to be keeping, what it is I want to move on, and kind of hone in my deck collection from there. I know I say collection, it's not, as expansive as a lot of people's, but I still like to keep mine small because I want to use and utilize my decks in a different way because I don't have the space to have a huge collection. I have one cabinet and it can't leave that cabinet. So, like, I'm definitely a little more picky about what I've been bringing in. And I try to balance it out, right? Like, whatever's coming in, I usually try to bring something out that I'm not using. So this is one that I want to dive into next year and really expand upon and see how I like it. And if it's one that I'm going to keep or one that I will rehome or even return, you know? So that's it, you guys. That's my collection. We made it. We did it. We did all 62 decks. Did you make it? 10 points to Gryffindor. Or should I say Ravenclaw? You guys, an overwhelming Ravenclaw troop watches these videos. When I posted my Harry Potter Christmas video, all the Ravenclaws, you guys are all the Ravenclaws, and I freaking love it. Little known fact, I've done a ton of what house are you in? I've only gotten one other house aside from Gryffindor, and it was Ravenclaw. So I feel y'all. Anyway, thank you guys for watching. All my links, again, are down below. If you like this kind of video, make sure to give it a thumbs up. It really helps me out. If you want to subscribe and hit the notification bell to see when I post videos, you can definitely do that. But you guys, we're not done this month. We got my Oracle collection coming up. I also am going to have my bullet journal, traveler's notebook, that video coming out as well. And then a 2020 end 2021 prep video coming where I'm going to kind of go over what we're going to be doing in 2021. I think it's going to be fun. I'm going to be having a different setup than I normally do, which is just like intuitively pick my decks all year long. I'm going to do it a little bit differently next year. So be sure to watch those videos if you're interested in that. If you're not, cool. Thanks for being here anyway. Okay, enough. I will see you guys very soon. I'm sending you all my love. Mwah. Later, Gators.